And welcome to my channel once again, everyone. This is King Joshua. I'm so glad you're here today. If you're new here, please consider subscribing to my channel, and I'm so gonna be so happy. If you've been here before, thank you for coming back to my channel. It's a huge pleasure for me. I'm so glad you're here. Today we have MY freaking K on the channel once more, and it was the one I brought onto the channel last time. The number one Royale player in the whole of Nigeria, but number two on the leaderboard in Nigeria. An amazing player, a great player. Today it's not just gonna be showing you his gameplay or his replays, but he's going to be dropping some pro tips on how to read your opponent's card, how to read all his deck cards, and like to know what's going to drop next, what's going to use, what deck is going to be using, and stuff like that. So I'm going to be playing some of his replays alongside with his audio file he sent to me, so you can get full pro tips and full understanding of how to read cards. So I'm going to jump in right away.
All right, I'll be talking about how to actually read cards. Now, reading of cards in Clash Royale is not simple. I know you guys will be expecting me to say that it's actually simple, but it's not. First of all, it depends on the deck you're actually making. If you're actually making a deck, you should have three things in mind. Make a deck that can stop air units, make a deck that can stop tanks, and make a deck that can stop cycle cards. Those three things, when you're making a deck, you should have those three things in mind. Now, if you actually have those three things in mind, reading of cards will be easier because you basically have answers to anything your opponent surprises you with. Now, when you're actually reading cards, you will make sure you sorry about my voice. You make sure you drop your cycle cards, like cards that are 4 elixir and below. You just drop them. Don't overcommit, especially when you're actually using a costly deck. When you're using your golem, your royal giant, your lava hound, you make sure you drop your cycle cards, you drop your tombstone, you drop your knights, you drop your goblin gang, you drop your skeletons at the back, or your archers, or your firecrackers. Make sure you cycle with those cards. Don't overcommit, so that you can actually use it to establish the deck your opponent is playing. Now, if you've established the deck your opponent is actually playing, that's when you can now understand the archetype he's actually playing. You can now understand the movement of the deck. Now, if your opponent plays, you start counting. Please start counting when he plays a big card, like a big card, like a card that has a massive elixir. Start counting when he plays that card. So, and have two things in mind when you're reading cards. If he has a tank killer, have that in mind. And if he's going to overcommit with his giant, golem, royal giants, any lava hound, always have those things in mind. Now, the one you should basically have in mind if you're actually using a tanky deck like what I use RG. Once your opponent drops the mini P.E.K.K.A at the back, or the barbarians, or the inferno dragon, make sure you go all in. Make sure you go all in. Now, when I say all in, you can actually, once he drops golem at the back, you should immediately drop your royal giant and mini P.E.K.K.A at the same time, because he is definitely going to defend us. If you're playing against royal giant, if you're playing against golem, he's definitely going to defend with mini P.E.K.K.A or lumberjack. So if you're reading cards, you should make sure that the tanks and the deck, the tanks and the tanks killer are at the back of your mind. So this is what you do when you're reading cards. You just keep determining, you determine the deck he's actually playing, because he would want to cycle to establish the deck you two are actually playing. So make sure you don't overcommit if you're using a tanky deck. And if you're using a cycle cards, you should always make sure that you cycle faster at the first minute before you go to overtime. Oh, sorry, before you get to double elixir time, make sure you cycle fast and take down his tower for cycle cards. Sorry, for cycle decks. And when you're reading cards, always have it in mind that when you guys, both of you, are in full elixir, when he drops the card, it's going to take 4 cards to get back to that same particular card he has gotten back to before. So what you do is, when he drops the first one, drops the second one, drops the third one, if you're having problem with one particular card, maybe you're having problem with your P.E.K.K.A, like I'm having problem with P.E.K.K.A or mini P.E.K.K.A, have that P.E.K.K.A in your mind. Count. He must not play more than 4 cards. If he plays the first card, the second card, and the third card, make sure you go all in with the fourth one if you're having problem with a particular card, the P.E.K.K.A, mini P.E.K.K.A, or barbarians. That is how you do it. And if you actually have a cycle card that would make him always cycle back to the tank killer quickly, always make sure you have a backup plan. You start your Royal Giant from the back, so that when the Royal Giant crosses the river, he's going to definitely appear with the tank killer. But then you've cycled your Royal Giant from the back, and the next time you play your Royal Giant, he's not going to have that tank killer again to actually take down your Royal Giant. I'm just giving instances with respect of my own deck. So that is how you read cards. So it is going to take him 4 cards to get back to the same cards, to the same most important, because definitely all players have a very important card when it comes to facing matchups in the ladder. You know, when you're actually playing lock bait, your Inferno Tower is your most important to kill your tanks. You have that in mind. When you're actually playing Golem, your mini P.E.K.K.A, your barbarians, your Night Witch is the most important when you're playing Golem that will kill your tanks. You should have that in mind. And when you're playing P.E.K.K.A, the P.E.K.K.A Bridge Spam, definitely the main P.E.K.K.A, you should have that in mind, that it is going to be the one to actually shut down your tank. So you should always have that in mind, and make sure you read the cards. It's going to take him 4 cards to get back to the same card, and you should take note of his elixir. Take note of elixir. When you're up on elixir against him and actually overcommitted, go all in, even if he has the tank killer. But when you're going all in, you should have a tank at the back. You should have a tank killer at the back of your tank troop. So that's how you read cards.
So there you have it, pro guide on how to read card. Give it up for MR He's the boss. He's the man. He's the pro. He's the boss. I mean, like, honestly, I personally got something there. I actually learned something there from what he said and all he talked about reading cards. And honestly, it's really helpful. It's gonna make a difference in your trophy count and stuff like that. So this is the end of the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something here. I hope you actually learned something. And if you did, I would so love to see you comment down in the section below. If you got to this very point, I'm so glad you got to the end of this video. And I promise you, I'm going to be giving you some more guide and more tips on dual stuffs and Clash Royale. I'm so glad I did this video. So if you want to see more, please, and don't forget to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button, smash the like button, and drop a comment down below. I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be epic and amazing. So peace out.